Hi, adrenaline junkies. Welcome back to Tech Trouble. Today we dive straight into the world's most extreme machines. Shredders that rip steel like paper, and monster chippers that devour entire trees in seconds. No mercy, no pause, just raw speed, unstoppable power, and industrial chaos unleashed. A legend of steel meets its brutal end. The VTN Eurasia scrap shear descends like a predator, its hydraulic jaws locking onto the battered frame of a once mighty bulldozer. Rusted tracks snap, engines crack apart, and decades of labor are crushed into silence. Every squeeze tears iron bones like paper, feeding the mountain of twisted steel. This isn't retirement, it's execution. A yellow crawler scarred by time falls victim to unstoppable force as metal screams and the ground itself trembles beneath the scrap beast's fury. Like a predator stalking prey, iron fangs spin in perfect rhythm. A blue steel barrel drops, and in seconds, the twin-shaft shredder tears it apart with sparks and screams of metal. Then comes the motorcycle, wheels, chains, and pipes devoured, spat out as twisted rubble. What enters, whole leaves as dust. This is raw mechanical hunger, the industrial shredder that turns steel giants into nothing but fragments. Once symbols of speed and freedom, these cars now face their final reckoning. The overbuilt high-speed car crusher lowers its colossal frame, and in seconds, shiny steel folds, glass bursts, and engines crumble into silence. Red, blue, chrome, every color crushed into the same fate. Dense slabs of wreckage. This isn't just destruction, it's brutal transformation, where raw hydraulic force rules and chaos is pressed into order. The forest's giants don't fall quietly. They vanish into the jaws of the Eschelbuck Biber DH910 wood chipper, where steel and fury collide. Its colossal drum rips through timber, spewing golden storms of chips that rain like fire. The Palfinger Epsilon crane never rests, feeding log after log with surgical precision, while mountains of fresh wood chips rise behind it like growing monuments to mechanical power. In this clash of nature and machine, raw trunks are reborn as fuel and fiber in a spectacle of unstoppable force. A black sedan hangs suspended in its final moment. No escape, no second chance. Lowered into the jaws of the Shredwell MS-2400 car shredder, the Titan awakens. Spinning steel teeth seize the car with merciless precision, ripping through chassis, axles, and steel bones like paper. Metal shrieks, glass explodes, and in seconds, the proud machine is reduced to twisted fragments. What once roared on the road is now nothing but raw scrap, ready to be reborn. This isn't just recycling, it's annihilation, power, and rebirth forged in steel. The forest giant crashes forward, its fate already sealed. The Pezzolato PTH 1200 woodchipper opens wide, and in an instant, steel jaws tear into the trunk with merciless precision. Bark explodes, splinters fly, and a golden storm of chips erupts from the chute, piling into mountains as if the earth itself is bleeding timber. Fed relentlessly by the Palfinger Epsilon crane, log after log disappears into the beast until raw power and engineering transform nature's giants into pure fuel. This isn't just processing, it's domination. Steel screams as the Genesis mobile scrap shear strikes. Jagged beams, twisted pipes, and rusted girders are crushed in its jaws, torn apart with terrifying precision. Every snap is a thunderclap of raw force, decades of hardened metal collapsing into fragments in seconds. What once stood strong becomes shattered wreckage as this hydraulic beast carves order from chaos. Mountains of scrap are devoured, leaving behind neat piles ready for steel's rebirth. Power, precision, absolute dominance. In a graveyard of machines, the Doosan excavator fitted with a Genesis shear prowls like a predator. A mountain of twisted steel lies helpless as its jaws clamp onto a rusted engine block, lifting, crushing, and snapping it apart with terrifying hydraulic force. Shards of metal rain down like sparks in a storm, armored frames ripped into fragments as if they were nothing. Each strike echoes like thunder, shaking the ground, proving that even the toughest steel bows to the sheer power of Genesis. In the frozen silence of winter, the beast awakens. A towering moorbark horizontal wood chipper roars to life, its steel throat hungry for timber. A grapple swings wide, seizing a giant tree trunk and driving it straight into the machine's jaws. In an instant, the blades erupt, bark, core, and heartwood ripped apart in a storm of golden chips. Against the snow, it looks like an avalanche of firewood, relentless, unstoppable, and impossible to turn away from. Ground shakes as a fallen giant is dragged toward the Vermeer industrial wood chipper. Its steel jaws open wide, rollers lock in, and the massive trunk is pulled inside. In seconds, razor-sharp blades tear through solid timber, blasting a furious storm of chips into the air. What was once a towering tree is reduced to fragments, power, speed, and precision all unleashed in one unstoppable machine. The forest falls silent. Then the roar begins. The Gen's Hem 400 wood chipper awakens, its grapple arm lunging forward like a predator claiming its prey. Massive logs are dragged into the blazing red maw, where steel blades spin with merciless hunger. In an instant, trunks that stood for decades vanish into a torrent of golden chips blasting skyward. Mounted on heavy-duty wheels and built to conquer any terrain, this beast turns nature's giants into fuel and fiber at unstoppable speed. Mountains crumble before the jaws of steel. At the Yongwon Korea rock crushing plant, colossal boulders are dragged into a jaw crusher that devours stone with merciless force. The ground trembles as raw rock shatters into fragments, spilling onto a roaring conveyor belt that climbs like an iron spine into the sky. From there, vibrating screens sort the chaos with mechanical precision, separating each shard by size. Dust rises like smoke from battle, a storm born from Earth's destruction. In this arena, nature's hardest giants are reduced and reborn, transformed into the very foundation of civilization by unstoppable industrial power. In the dense silence of the forest, the Prentice Forestry mulcher roars alive, its massive tires gripping the earth as it pushes forward with unstoppable force. The bright red mulching head lowers, teeth spinning like a storm of steel, devouring fallen timber in seconds. Branches splinter, bark shreds, and the once solid trunk is reduced to a spray of wood chips that blanket the forest floor. Every rotation of its drum is raw power unleashed, turning obstacles into dust, carving a path through nature with precision and fury. This is not just a machine, it is a predator of the woods, built to dominate and reclaim the land. Twisted piles of scrap metal rise like broken skeletons when the Big Mac auto flattener roars to life. A massive hydraulic arm swings overhead, lowering a crushed green container into the steel maw of the machine. With earth-shaking force, the press descends, bending and smashing the structure into flat, dense sheets of compacted steel. The relentless jaws of this giant reduce once towering scrap into neat slabs, feeding the hunger of recycling with unstoppable power. That moment had my heart pounding. What about you? Drop your reaction in the comments. The quarry shakes as the Kliman Mobirex crusher awakens, a steel giant built to dominate stone itself. Raw boulders vanish into its crushing jaws, shattered into fragments before being hurled onto massive conveyors. Belts thunder in unison. Vibrating chutes sort the rubble, and a river of gravel pours out in a relentless stream. In the silence of the forest, the Hitachi excavator with tree shear attachment dominates the clearing, its hydraulic arm gripping the massive fallen trunk with ruthless precision. The sharp jaws of the attachment bite through tangled branches, snapping them apart like twigs under crushing steel force. Each movement clears the chaos of the forest floor, reducing towering obstacles into manageable sections. In the middle of thick greenery, the Yanmar B25V excavator takes command, fitted with a powerful hydraulic tree shear attachment. With surgical precision, its steel jaws clamp tightly around towering trunks, slicing through dense wood like it's nothing more than paper. One after another, trees are gripped, cut, and laid to the ground, their crash muffled by the surrounding vegetation. The ground shakes as a buried giant meets its fate. With jaws of steel, the Dimax stump shear locks onto a stubborn tree root, tearing through soil and wood like a predator ripping free its prey. Centuries of growth collapse in seconds, splintering under pure hydraulic force. What once stood immovable is hoisted high in defeat, nature's anchor conquered by unstoppable engineering. The ground shakes as a buried giant meets its fate. With jaws of steel, the Dimax stump shear locks onto a stubborn tree root, tearing through soil and wood like a predator ripping free its prey. Centuries of growth collapse in seconds, splintering under pure hydraulic force. What once stood immovable is hoisted high in defeat, nature's anchor conquered by unstoppable engineering. The silence shatters with a violent crack as a massive log meets its executioner. Driven forward by raw hydraulic force, the log splitter's steel wedge slices deep, tearing timber apart with brutal precision. Splinters fly, fragments scatter, and in seconds, nature's strength is reduced to neat stacks of firewood. Painted in blazing orange and blue, this machine stands unshaken, its hydraulics a storm of dominance, fusing brute strength with engineered perfection. From car-crushing titans to monster wood chippers that swallowed entire trees without mercy, we've just witnessed the extreme, the dangerous, and the fastest shredding machines in action. These beasts don't hesitate, they don't slow down, they dominate, turning steel into fragments and timber into storms of chips in seconds. But this is just the surface of the chaos. Every machine has its story. Every grind, every crush, every roar of steel reminds us that human engineering has built monsters that rule over nature and metal alike. If today's ride through raw industrial destruction left you speechless, don't keep it to yourself. Smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this video with friends who crave the same adrenaline rush. And remember, this is Tech Trouble. We bring you the machines that the world can't stop watching. From the forests to the scrapyards, from stone crushers to shredders of steel. Every upload is more brutal, more extreme, and more jaw-dropping than the last. So if you think today was insane, trust me, the next one will blow your mind even harder. Stay tuned, stay subscribed, and keep riding with us on the wildest journey into power, chaos, and unstoppable engineering.